Good morning. This is part 2 of the build of the TS400 cutoff saw. It will be fairly highly detailed and will take a little while to get through the video. I will shorten it up as much as I can. Please enjoy, comment, and so on and so forth.
Bearing out of it because it needs the bearing replaced. So let me get this cleaned up. There we go, hitting the camera stand again. I'm just really good at that. Put this back. Okay, so we move the motor out the way slightly. A moment. Put this on the boards. Padding. And then we'll see if we can drive that little guy out of there. Big. I really want it to be just that side. See if this will drive out. Really don't want to hurt it. Yep, there we go. She's moved, but I gotta get her moved the rest of the way. It appears to want more whackage. There we go. That bearing is shot. Totally toast. Clean this up, get the sprays on it. Oh, I just love brake cleaner. Alright, so this thing is a rusty mess. I'm going to get the goo off of it, and I'm going to take it over there and I'm going to blow it on the wire wheel for a minute. See if I can clean it up a little bit. Part of the problem with these things is they're used with water. When you wet saw, everything's steel on them, then of course rusts. Very much annoying. Okay, so I have a new bearing and I have an old keeper spring, or keeper puppy, and I will put all of that in there. I'm fairly sure that this, unlike the bearings in the motor, these ones are sealed, both sides, sealed, permanently lubricated. And we're going to need the seal driver kit that I just put away. Just the size. That works. Starting point. So let's drive that on there. It'll be a little bangy here for a sec. Not all the way in yet. I have a feeling I'm going to have to find exactly the right size socket on the back side, because I can't use a seal driver on this. I don't have one small enough to go down in that hole. There we go. That'll work. Line it up. Oh, is that going to be a pain in the butt? One just slightly bigger than that. Let's see if we can convince the thing with a brass punch. think we're quite all the way there, Murphy. So one of the things you can do is set the snap ring like I'm doing here, and come back at it. And if it doesn't look like it's quite set in there, which it's awful bloody close, you can take the brass punch. Oh no, it doesn't need much. I think it wants a light tap over here. You gotta get the brass frabbles out. But again, that's why we have these, so that you're tearing up the punch and not what you're working on. Okay. I'm gonna do one little shot on the edge here. Make sure it's in. Yeah, it went in just a little bit. So there you go. Get the yuckle-trude off of it. And then move bits and pieces out the way.
In this section of the video, I'm not quite seeing what's wrong with the clutch. I'm trying to put it together, and something isn't right about it, but it isn't hitting me what it is. Again, as noted in the previous video of this series, the clutch is upside down. The mechanical spring-loaded clutch components should have been put in reverse of the way they are put in, and it takes me quite a while to figure it out. I am also going to put on the flywheel on the other side, and I will figure out that the clutch doesn't work the way it's supposed to because of that. The last thing you'll note in there is I use the brass punch through one of the openings in the jug in such a way that the piston can run into the brass punch, and I very lightly apply the torque to the nuts as I'm tightening things up, using the brass punch and the resistance against the piston. You can't hammer on that, but you can push on it as long as you use something like a brass punch.
Okay, so I've got to figure out the wiring. My kill switch wire that grounds it appears to be broken off, and I do not know how the kill switch works in here. I will have to look that up. But what I was doing just a minute ago was setting the clearance fixed, wide, oversized hole, slotted hole, and I stuck this little jewel in between the magnet and that, like so, which gives me the clearance I need, and this will turn freely but have that charge right up where it belongs. can't really put that cover on until I figure that piece out, so we'll let that be. We're getting to the point now where I'm going to have to switch over to the other stuff. Yeah. This guy. Like so. Like so. Goes on like yo. But I can't do that until I get those bits. And that brings the barbed wire the rest of the way up. And provides the pathway for all the cooling air that is being created by flywheel. Right. So that don't go on yet. That'll come later. Is it? It is almost 6:30. Alright. Making slow progress. Like always. Nothing I do is ever fast. Well, most nothing. Okay. So my next magical trick wants to be, just stick that up there for a moment, keep it out of the way. Let's go get those two pieces so we can look at them. So these two pieces make the gas tank and the bottom and a few other bits and pieces of it. I'm going to move this out of the way somewhat. Set it back here for the moment where it won't hurt anybody. And we can look at these two parts. And I need to give this a little spritz. One half the gas tank. Now I'm actually fairly lucky here. Most of the rubber components seem to be in pretty good shape. They're not hurting. So, which makes it a little bit easier to take parts out of it. So, in the kit, basically every filter is replaced in the kit that came with the piston and jug. So, that filter is going to get replaced. There's a new one, which is in here somewhere. I know it is because I saw it earlier while looking for the things I couldn't find. Where are you, little bugger? Bar. How like that feel? Well, that's interesting. Oh my, yeah. So the replacement filter has a little problem. I wonder if this cap comes off. No, it's welded. Oh, ain't that sweet. Well, we'll carb clean this thing out, and it's what we use. So I blow the carb cleaner through it backwards, it'll push the stuff out the filter strings. that's brake clean. We got carb clean over here, which I will use in a different location. Okay. Nice, gotta replace the filter with a clean one, but you got me the wrong filter. Oops. Okay. That wasn't quite in the plan, but yep, it's a lot tighter. Oh well. Put that one in there, and that's just the way it is. Husqvarna. Interesting. I need to check in their factory specs. Okay, so this has the same dealio. I don't want the gas tank to leak, and I see a little bit of corrosion on that. I'm going to block sand it first. That is a dead puppy. Good night. Alright, there. And look at the other side. Still got some printing off the gasket on it. Now it will get a gasket, it's right here, but I'm still going to put the aerobic sealer on. This side I can't really sand, there's just too much crap in the way, little pins and stuff. So we'll put a light dose of the Honda Bond on there. God, this stuff is vile. This guy right here connects to the jug and whatnot, but the way it does it is that guy sits down on the other side. So you got to take the metal thing out. There's no metal ringy there. And then and work the jug through, which you can see me doing. When it first came out of here, it was one disgusting puppy. Okay. Now I'll carefully shove the ring back in there. Good. That gives us that, and that piece on the bottom. If I remember correctly, that guy has a direct connect. Why am I missing a screw here? I don't know. That's not good. I don't like when I'm missing a screw. Okay, that's the pump for the carburetor. Alright. This should now come back. Alright, it's a little hard to show this, but there is a vacuum port. Actually, it's not a vacuum port, it's a vacuum pump port. It does both. It pulls vacuum when the piston's going up, it pushes pressure when the piston's going down. Because a Walbro style carburetor, one of these guys, has a diaphragm in it that has to be pushed back and forth to pump. And it gets that by the fact that up and down changes whether it's pulling or pushing. So, I need to get that little guy lined up. And I need to get this little guy lined up. Gently work it on there without losing the puppy, which I just did. Happens all the time. I think it might be easier to do the big one first. Yeah. Okay, so a pick is really handy for this. An L pick, this little guy. I can slide underneath the rubber and just kind of slide around while I'm pushing, and that'll help it come up on there, usually. Unless it's an obstinate little bugger, like this one. Okay, and then the alternate is to take a non-sticking device that I can push with. And then keep moving clamps and things around until I get that bugger up there. All the way, which I now have. Turn it. Excuse me, coughing. And it's a straight blade screw that tightens this clamp up. And again, this is the same kind of deal. You've got to have absolute air seal on this. There can't be any air gapping in here, because if you pull air, you start to run really lean, which gets you really hot, which does the damage that happened to the old one. Okay, so now I will drop the tool I need, because I'm a klutz. Come here, tool. And then we'll reach in here, and there is a little hose that I gently want to get a hold of. Get lined up where it's supposed to go and work it onto the pump port. Now when this thing turns, it will cause that vacuum pressure cycle right here. Okay. Another thingy. Okay, old carburetor I think still has a choke on it. Got a back gasket, yeah. So I need the choke lever on this one. Got it. Okay, so we have to slide on. This doesn't actually use a gasket on the front. The rubber dingus is the gasket. So, okay, you could be less of a pain in the nuts. Everything's about lining up little rubber hoses. There goes that one. Yep. Okay. Now, that will not stay on there, the temporary hold, which I will do with this guy. It gets a big cover put on it, which will come in a minute. That's temp. Something about all this doesn't make sense. I gotta go look at the linkage. Hooking up rubber hoses. This is the feed from the tank. And this guy. That ought to be the return chamber. It should come off of that. And that looks like a short hose. This is a short hose. Because I still have the old hose here. Pieces here in a minute. Okay. Now, what's next, said the little monster. Now, I'll pull this out of the way for the moment because I don't intend to use that carb at all. That guard, which I put in here. Full plug wet. That guard can go on now. There's my little wrenchy thing. Mirror wrenchy thing. But it's dirty on the bottom, so that's undoubtedly going down through it. Whoops. That's down through. I don't want to dump crud in it, I'll go ahead and spin this guy in. What is your guys' malfunction? I have to change the O-rings a little bit. Either the old O-ring is really swole to pieces or they're missing about half the threads. That sits almost all the way down in there before it starts tightening. Wow. That's a loud little heater down there. Shut up. Okay. Now we'll leave that like so. Okay. So now it's all about figuring out the linkages, and since I took this apart a while ago, I'm going to have to go look at the pictures and figure it out. But we're getting close. That looks like we're ready to slam it home right there. Okay. Should be the bottom one down here. Okay, now on this side we have to do it with the handle and a few other things. Keeps all that together, but that's good. This guy goes on with all these screws, these two mounts. Those are all oversized, aren't they? Yeah, so she's down. They're down in the hole. I'm just making it solid, so I don't have to futz with it so much. Okay, this has got a ton of little screws all over it, so instead of tightening it up, I'm going to get it close this way. Start running screws in, because it needs them all in there. Oops, you're missing one there, fool. I made sure all they're started before I did that first lockdown. That feels like we don't have anything to grip on in our. I don't know why. Ain't gripping nothing. They ought to be threads down in there. That is a lot larger. Interesting. Why might I have to take her back apart and figure out why that one's so sloppy loose? Alright. Now, at this point, I gotta go do some research anyway on a number of different things. So I'm gonna stop it right here. But she's getting there. A little bit more to do. I gotta get that pop-off valve out and cleaned up real good from the old jug, the decompression button. Other than that, pretty cool. So I'm gonna stop here.